Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin wa afdalus salatu wa atammu taslim ala sayyidina wa maulana Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'du. Okay, in this video, inshallah my friends and I will explain about the postmodernism and rationalism. First and foremost, I will share about the concept of postmodernism and rationalism, which is the most important things so that we can clearly understand this ideology. Okay, as we know, postmodernism means after modernism, or in the other words, rationalism. This ideology began after World War II, while rationalism before it. So, the concept of postmodernism is quite contrast with rationalism, which is they just depends on their mind and scientific research to understand or know about something. In contrast, postmodernism against with rationalism ideologies, which is they make decision depends on human desire or emotion, and there is no one true and or false. That's all from me.
And now I will talk about the characteristics and principles of postmodernism. Postmodernism takes skepticism as the essence of the structure of this ideology. It talks about the truth as a perspective matter. All worldview is needed to be reconstructed and re-evaluated in order to trace lies and bias imbued within the world views. So, in order to diminish the bias in judgment, men cannot claim that truth exclusively belongs to them. That is false statement. Hence, truth just a mere reflection based on one's belief and perception. Now, we go to the principle of the postmodernism. Postmodernism believe there is no absolute truth. They believe the notion of truth is a contrived illusion misused by people and special groups to gain power over others. That's all from me. Thank you.
The term of postmodernism was introduced by a Western historian, Arnold Joseph Toynbee, in 1939. However, postmodernism was used widely in 1970 by Charles Jens. This ideology began from the end of World War II in 1945 as the fall of the modernism era, and it became greater in 1968. In 1993, Raymond Federman said that postmodernism died with Samuel Beckett in 1989. However, actually this ideology is still spreading in our era. Postmodernism was born because of people see that modernism, which is believing in rationalism, was no longer relevant with world development and was graded as failed. So, postmodernism is a symbol of criticism against modernism that failed to organize people.
Now, let's proceed with the impacts of postmodernism and rationalism. Postmodernism has different impacts on society. I will list three of them. First of all is they will ignore the absolute truth because each of truth differs from each other because of the individual interpretation. For example, if a guy named A and a guy named B, the A guy will accept the truth of that there is, for example, an animal beside him, but the B guy will tell him it's not an animal, it's just a doll, something like that. Each person has different experience, so they will differ from each other. The second one is lack of reasons. Reasons are going to be blurred. There is no way to know which person's reasons is reliable because each person has different interpretation. Each person has different way of thinking, different experiences, different knowledge on the truth they are going to accept. It is impossible for an individual or a group to fully accept an idea because they have their own judgment. They have their own way of accepting the truth. And the last one, but not the least, is loss of discernment. When reasons are relative, then everything becomes a matter of perspective. Thus, it will blur the aspects of differences. That's all. And the second part is rationalism and its impacts. Everything is decided by scientific judgment and knowledge bases. Thus, we'll ignore metaphysical matters because of the lack of man's ideology or knowledge. Yeah. And the last one, but not least, rationalism will make any eligible actions becomes allowable because they judge an action based on their advantages and disadvantages. Thus, any action will become valid, will become allowable. That's all from me. Thank you.
Post-modernism. There's a French philosopher named Jacques Derrida. He's considered the central villain of this belief, and he was a Marxist. So instead of trying to promote the revolution of the working class against the capitalist system, they started to play identity politics and said, well, we can just separate everybody into oppressed versus oppressor. But we don't have to do it on an economic grounds. We can call it power instead. That is what I've learned from a video I watched. Another thing about rationalism is the belief that reason does not require experience in order to be understood. And all the truth in life exists in innate forms. It is one of the 5 theories of knowledge. As an example, for example, if you see a triangle has 3 sides. You don't need to rely on experience to come to a judgment that it really has 3 sides. Or for example, if you see a bachelor, you would come to a conclusion that he is unmarried male, and so on.
Sharif, have you heard about LGBT?
Actually, yes, I have heard about it. It's really hot topic around the globe because LGBT is really having a bad drawbacks, having a really bad effects on humanity. And I want to know about your opinion about this. What do you think about it?
I disagree with it because it is not parallel with our healthy thinking. Logically, how could a man fall in love in another man or a woman fall in love with another woman in sexual emotion? It is clearly against the nature of humankind.
Yo guys, what are you doing? What are you talking about?
Oh, now we are talking about LGBT.
What? Good? How could you say like that?
I say like that because every human and person have their own desire and emotion. So why not we give them the opportunity to fulfill their desire?
HIV and AIDS. This disease can be occurred when those who accept LGBT during sexual intercourse. It can spread through a body or through a saliva of the virus carrier. Our body isn't suitable for such thing. Thus, making these matters isn't acceptable for us as a humankind.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I agree with it, LGBT, because in my opinion, we were made male and female to complete each other. People view sexuality or their fulfillment of sexual needs wrongly. I think the main reason behind us having the sexual, desires is to so that our race could last. We could produce more human. If a man and another man, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, what's gonna happen after that? Even animals don't do that. So just to think about how bad it is. It happened during Qawm Lut. They were doing, homosexuality, and a severe punishment brought down, upon them. Jibril alayhi salam came down and picked their village, and he placed it down. It's not a cool thing to do. Allah will become angry if He sees this. So in my opinion, from an Islamic point of view, if we see those people, we should remove them from any society, because they are a virus, so that they will not change the we call it fitra in us. In my opinion, these people are very dangerous on every society. They're becoming as a virus. They will, in my opinion, affect everyone, almost everyone, and change their nature. So I would say the authorities must take action and get involved in this situation. For example, to remove them, maybe create a place where they could maybe educate them and address them, try to maybe change change the way they think, the way they view stuff. In my opinion, if they don't want to, change their mentality, the way they think, they shouldn't be, they shouldn't be around us. They shouldn't mingle with us, because in my opinion, they're gonna affect us and will bring down punishment, wallahi, from Allah. That's my opinion.